Who there? Who there? Hello there. Chomp Boy the US Piper with you. Got my Rossi 7LE Roma Series 320 KS. I had a little bit of a left out Samuel Gawith Kendall's Best Brown twist left out in the tray, and I decided to mix that with some Haunted Bookshop. That seemed like it would be a good idea. It was an idea. Whew, that's stout, man. That'd kill a smaller man, tell you what. The light up was pretty rough, man. It was pretty rough because the top, I guess, had mostly Haunted Bookshop, so it was kind of causing that pretty dried out, crispy brown twist to burn a lot faster than it likes to burn. And whew, that was a wake up. But I got it tamped down and burning a little more akin to the speed it likes to go at now, and it's kind of got the Haunted Bookshop slowed down, and it's found a happy medium. It's kind of like a haunted brown twist, I guess you could call it. I'm not sure it was a great idea, but it was an idea anyway. So I fell on that grenade just in case you ever wondered what would happen if you did that. You better have it packed and tamped pretty good. If it had been damper, it probably would have been a little more okay. But now that it's calmed down and gone a little, it's actually kind of okay now. I think there's a lot more of the Best Brown in the bottom, so it's behaving itself a little more like it should, albeit with a little bit of the haunted supercharge going on with it. It's kind of nice, really. It's just you've got to like stout tobaccos, or this this would kill a smaller man. Trust me. It's got a lot of good flavor. It's just, you know, it's on the stout side. To be sure. To be sure. I get that coronavirus, man. I'm gonna pack a bowl of this. This will kill the hell out of it. Probably so. Mayhap it will. Mayhap it will. Hope this finds you well in maintaining your peace in this time of crazy. I think, I don't really want to get into the subject. I feel like we're all burnt out on it and we should just chill out and smoke a pipe for the most part. But I'm not unhappy that, precautions are being taken and people are starting to get a little bit of the, let's think about things mindset. But they're, it's like chickens with their heads cut off behind 500 rolls of toilet paper and stuff they don't usually cook or use. And it's like, you don't become a prepper in 3 easy steps. You basically you need to stock stuff you really use and you will really eat anyway, or it's probably a waste of money. But not that I'm particularly a prepper, but I have been at one time in my life, and I'm more of a good old boy. I believe in having a good deep freezer full of stuff and a stocked pantry, and we're like everybody else. We've put a little extra back just in case, and it's stuff we're going to use anyway. We're not going out there buying like 50 cases of MREs or anything crazy, or freeze-dried stuff with so much sodium it'd have you dead and of a heart attack in 90 days if you tried to live on it. Just calm down, America. Calm down. Stuff happens. It'll be okay. And I just feel like a lot of what we're seeing government response wise on local level, state level, federal level is very misguided. Because, like, to a certain extent, some of it makes sense, but um, I don't know. I just think a lot of it's political insulation. Like, people are so worried that they're going to be called out for not acting quickly enough or proactively enough that rather than stopping and asking, is this logistically sound that we do this today? Or should we wait a week or 2 weeks? And or till we have more test kits, or till we have more meaningful data, or till we can assemble a more full logistical plan for how we might implement these things and how we might deal with the logistics that are going to surround enacting these things, or even suggesting that everyone voluntarily enact them. We're going to need some infrastructure we don't normally have. Should we maybe think about this a few more days? Of course, you got other people screaming, too little, too late. So, I don't know. So it's not so much that I disagree with some of the possible steps, at least for short periods of time, reasonable periods of time, and graduated periods of time to different levels. But I just feel like nothing is being implemented or suggested in logistically sound manner. I feel like the people calling the plays don't even know what's going on effectively, and they're making calls without having enough facts and without having logistics together to know whether what they're doing is really feasible or a solution, or if it's just creating more problems. Because what if the time to do this to this level or more really is 2 weeks away, but we've already done this now, so the thing is, there's not a lot of political fallout to that. You can always say, oh, well, we were just being careful. Yeah, but if you're economically crippling people by trying to insulate yourself politically, shame on you. And that's not pointed at any particular person or any particular side of this, or I just wish people made a little more sense sometimes, but I'm sure people have said that about me before, so. At various points in my life, they'd have had a point. Especially earlier in life. But don't let the situation dictate your frame of mind. If you're a religious person, a person of faith, then hey, the same God that was in charge before all this is the same God that's in charge today. That hasn't changed. The things that are important haven't changed. The realness of that situation has not changed in any way. And our responsibilities to each other have not changed. So, situations, whether it's this or whether it's the aftermath economically and marketplace wise, that's going to follow this regardless at this point. They're going to bring new opportunities as well. It's not all doom and gloom, but, you just have to be mindful of the fact that it's going to bring out the best and the worst in people. It always does. And you have to make a personal choice that you're going to make sure that it brings out the best in you. Don't let it make you more paranoid and more antisocial and more unfeeling of others and more uncaring of others. Just because you're scared, they're scared too. Think about them. You're still your brother's keeper. Think twice before you just start fanning panic by spreading every dumb rumor you hear from a credible source, or so and so heard this from a reliable source. You know how many times I've heard that? And it's usually information where you're like, you can just tell it's second, third, and fourth hand stuff that's not being told right, and it's probably fabricated in the first place in most cases. And people that would normally know better, that would see the BS factor in it, are just so scared they'll believe it. They want to believe they know something nobody else does, so they buy it. I got the inside track, man. Here's what's going on. What's going on is nobody, including the people at the top, really know what the hell's going on. If we want to be honest about it. It's not the end of the world. So, you know, and even if it was, it's no reason to act. It's not the time to fall apart and act like a fool. You know, it's the time to step up and be your best self. So, think of your neighbor. Think of other people. Think of people that don't have anybody around them as a support network, and ask if they're okay. See if you can drop something off. You don't have to go hug them and shake hands and all that if you don't want to. If they're elderly, it's probably better you just leave some groceries on the doorstep. But check on folks that somebody might not think to check on. And, you know, if you're going to the store anyway, see if you can pick something up for somebody and drop it off on their porch. Call them. Act like your granddaddy would have, you know? What I'm hoping for us to find in all this is more of that in ourselves, and less of the initial stuff we're seeing, which is just panic and stupid. It's not to discount people's feelings or what is going on or the actual levels of threat or anything. It's not to belittle anybody that's succumb to the anxiety, because Lord knows a lot of people have. But, you know, pull yourself together, America. Handle your business. Handle your business. I'm just saying. We're grown-ups here. Let's act like it. As he sucks on his bottle. All they had were these. I hate these things. I guess in the time it takes me to gripe about it, I could unscrew the top I don't like, huh? See? Find solutions, not stuff to... That's why I make the big money. Not really. But, so yeah. Forrest Gump. That's about all I had to say about that right now. Hope everybody's okay. Hold on to your inner peace. Don't live in a place of fear. You're not built for that. Don't leave it a lot of ground. Don't give ground to it. All you can do is make the best informed decisions that you can and try to be rational. Try to be a caring, thinking individual, as he burps. And, you know, like that there. Forget about it. Just saying. New Jersey, which I grew up in from like 3.5 to 18 before I moved down south, has decided to put like a curfew up from 8 p.m. to like 5 a.m. So it's like a ticketable offense to be out in public, walking around like, you know, some kind of free citizen in a free country. But that is the land of the statist. So I'm sure that doesn't offend or bother any of them. I'm sure it will a few. But not most of them. And that's really the bigger point, I think, of the whole thing. Beyond the virus is get us being used to being told not to assemble in groups and not to go to church and tell businesses what their hours can be, whether they can be open or closed for commerce. And, if people are scared enough, they just eat it up with a spoon. Oh, well, we got to do this. Maybe. Maybe that's a reasonable step, but is it a reasonable step today? Maybe it is. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm just saying I don't see anybody asking the question. That bothers me. Either side of the aisle. Everybody's too busy trying to politically insulate themselves from the what ifs. They're too busy trying to keep their jobs than worrying about whether or not they're doing their job or doing their jobs effectively. Status quo. I think some of them are trying, but it's that cycle and that game you get into. You get trapped in that. I think a lot of them go into service with good intentions, but you stay there long enough. You know how it is. But that's more doom and gloom, and we don't need any of that crap. So, I don't look to government to make my life better anyway. I'd be a rather pessimistic fellow if I did that. I think, that comes down to personal responsibility. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for my choices, and I'm responsible for my level of preparedness, and I'm responsible for how I choose to live my life and how I choose to look at the world and the people around me. And none of that has changed. None of that is going to change because of a virus, or a plague, or an earthquake, or a tornado, or a fire, or what have you. Surprisingly, I'm still in a place of peace because I refuse not to be. So, there's a point at which you just have to say, hey, for today, I've done all I can do to better my situation. We've thought about it and had some discussions and decided on courses of action for us to do over time in the future. I feel like we were starting out in a lot better position than a lot of the average people were. We certainly weren't panic buying 500 rolls of toilet paper. That's one upside. Country folks, they generally have like a pantry and a little extra of stuff they use put back and a deep freezer and, I'm the guy that likes to have backups for my backups. So, times like this are why you do things that way, because time and time again, they've proven to be a valuable way to operate. While everybody else is busy panicking and trying to read stuff online, you're just fine-tuning plans and, adding what you can as far as additional layers. And you have the time and the energy to check on other people around you. So, yeah, I think if you find yourself overly caught up in the anxiety of it, that's a good cure. And the two good things you can do is, one, think about how many things you have to be thankful about. And two, think about somebody else that could use some help or a helping hand or that might need somebody to check on them and see if they need anything and see if that doesn't break you out of your box a little bit. It should. It usually does. Also, a pipe or a campfire or both go a long way. So, all that being said, it's not that I'm not amazed by some of the things I'm seeing and everything too, but you know, I just I don't want to be, you know, knocked out of my place of peace and thankfulness over it. There's too many blessings in my life for me to sweat a storm or two. I've been through too many already. I know how the story ends. So I hope you have that peace in your heart and in your life. And if you don't, you need to talk about it, I'm around. Holler at me. I'm more than happy to take the time to talk to you. Yeah. I kind of want to make coffee, but it's really too late for coffee. So might have to put a little tea on. This has ended up being pretty good. Of course, it's mostly brown twists now. It was pretty stout at the beginning. Pretty stout stuff. Very, very, very satisfying. I like that brown twist. That came about because I realized that I had wished that I had broken some more brown twist up earlier and put it out to dry, and I hadn't. So I'm going to do that now for tomorrow. I'm going to go heat up a bowl of soup, make a little tea, and relax in my easy chair with my pups. I think my wife has already gone to bed. She's had a full day, and I think she just needs to be at rest right now. She needs a little recuperation time. And so might see if she needs some tea too. Might just bring her some soup because I don't think she's going to get up and make herself any. But anyway, yeah, it's just don't let the storm knock you out of your place of peace and thankfulness. That's the overall message I have for you this evening here at the Liberty Lounge. So, yeah. I really, really like that brown twist. I'm going to have to land some more of that. Maybe get some Happy Brown Bogey, something along that lines. I just like these nice twist tobaccos. It was fun watching The Onion 2 a.m. pipe on the patio. Recently, he's kind of discovered the joy of them, and as well. And I wasn't very far before him on it, a few weeks, but watching somebody else kind of find the same thing, like, oh, this is really good. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's just, and the more you enjoy, the more you're like, there's just something to this. It's just special, and it really is. It's just a good old timey, organic, down to earth, good tobacco flavor. And it's very satisfying. Burns slow, gives you plenty of time to think about it. That's what it's all about, right? You load a pipe and sit. It's kind of like a campfire. You sit back, and by the time it's done burning, you done forgot what you were worried about when you sat down and started it. Or at least you decided it's just not that big a deal and it's not worth worrying about right now. Even if it is a big deal. And that's the perspective I think people need to find. Especially if you're a little older. I mean, maybe we've never been through this before, but we've been through a host of other things. And just like our parents and grandparents and great grandparents have before us. Depressions and world wars and famines and, you know, different sicknesses and, you know, a host of different types of things that we're going to go through in life. And they're not all pleasant, but, you know, sometimes there is some value in them, as weird as that sounds. You know, there's lessons to be learned and things that ultimately will make you a better, more well-rounded, more caring person. So I'm not saying necessarily welcome the storm, but the storm's coming, whether you like it or not. You know, that's the nature of a storm. It's not there because you invited it, usually. Sometimes it is, you know. But we deal with it, we adapt, and overcome. But what we don't do is panic, because panicking is a waste of time and energy. Especially in a dire situation. That's the worst thing you can do is panic. People die from panicking. They don't die from the event. So let's keep our heads about us. Let's not let it redefine who we are. And if it does, let's make sure it does that for the better. John Boy, the U.S. Piper. Love you guys.
See ya. See ya. Hope you had a good time. Da-da. Hope you'll have a good morning. Mm-hmm. Hope we get to see you again.